Hello everyone, thanks for joining us for another episode of Legends of the Spire. On the podcast this week we've got Sean O'Neill, the Belfast-born player. Started his career at Leeds as a youth player. He was there in the late 60s, early 70s, which is when those iconic players of Leeds' past were all playing. And then he moved to Chesterfield in the mid-1970s and stayed with us for kind of more than a decade, rattling up loads of appearances, putting him in the right at the top echelons of top appearance makers for Chesterfield. It was great to speak to him about his time at the club, really modest about his achievements, but yeah, great to speak to him. Huge thanks to the fan that set this one up, as he's a neighbour of Sean's. So if anyone listening to this or watching does live on the same street as any ex-Chesterfield players, please do ask them on our behalf. Don't harass them too much, but ask them on our behalf. And if you do want to get in touch, at Spire Legends on Twitter, Legends of the Spire on Facebook, or you can also email us at legendsofthespire@outlook.com. So yes, I hope you all enjoy the episode with Sean. It was a great laugh, and we'll be back for more in the next few weeks. So this is the latest episode with Sean O'Neill. So, you're from Belfast?
Yeah, originally from Belfast, yeah. Seems a long time ago, but born and bred.
Yeah. And you're right in saying you're a youth international for Northern Ireland when you were...
I mean, growing up then, I don't like saying it, but it's a long time ago, and there was no academies and stuff like that there is now. So it was basically you went round and you got a game of football wherever you could. And the school I went to was initially I don't think they had much of a football team. It was more Gaelic and hurling. And I mean, Gaelic's a great game, but I always wanted to play football. And I just played football, and you just moved about. You know, you went somewhere and you saw some lads playing, and you joined in and had a game and stuff like that. And then when I went to the the secondary school, we sort of I don't know how we did it, but we managed to sort of get in and start playing football. And so and then just one thing led to another, and I ended up I think I was 14 at the time. Going for trials with some of the Irish clubs, and then obviously they had trials for the Northern Irish school lads, and I got into that, and I played. Did I play two or three games? So it was a good start.
What position on the pitch were you back then? Everyone we talked to were all strikers, it seems.
No, I wasn't a striker. I wasn't. I played midfield then. Probably because I was a big ugly devil. So I played in midfield. I mean, it sounds thingy now, but when I used to play with the men, because I was bigger than the other kids, and I sort of remember thinking, well, I didn't want to rely on sort of strength and stuff like that, because obviously you're going to come up against people that's bigger than you. So anyway, so I ended up, I used to play with the men, and that toughens you up, and you pick things up from them and stuff like that, and then just things went from there, and it just sort of just escalated. I'd actually played, I was playing in an under-18 game, and it was a park not far from where we live, and the Leeds United scout was there. And anyway, I got word that he wanted to come and see my parents and that. So he came the day after, on the Sunday, and he was talking to my parents. And I'll tell you lies because I can't remember, but it wasn't long before I went to Leeds United in the holidays. There was a holiday in February or March time or something. I don't know whether it was half term or what. So I went to Leeds United for a week, and I absolutely loved it. It was brilliant. And they at the end of the week, I got called into the manager's office, and he said that they wanted to sign me. well, what do you say? You know, it's not coming. And so there was when the international started for the schoolboys. I think it was Wales in Belfast, and two of the assistant manager and the coach, they came over to watch the match thinking I'd be playing. I was only sub. I wasn't very happy, but they came to see my father in the afternoon, and they were expecting me to be playing. They wanted to know what they were getting, but they failed. So they came. So that was the start of it, and then I got in for the next two games and that. So yeah, it was a good experience.
Was it tough for how did you work it with your family and things? Did you come over to Leeds on your own, or did?
Yeah, no, I came over on my own. I mean, I was 15. I mean, I can remember it to this day. It was a Sunday, and I've got the 22nd of June stuck in my head. But it was about that time. But it was definitely a Sunday, and the Leeds Scout took me up to the airport and stuff like that. And then when I got to Leeds, obviously I got picked up and all that sort of stuff. And I thought, because when I went on trial, I'd stayed in a hotel for a week. I'd never been in a hotel in my life. And so that was different. People making you food and all that, and you didn't have to wash the pots and all that. And then, they took me straight to the digs, and I was in with lovely people. And they didn't have any kids of their own. They really, really looked after me. And then just things went from there.
Yeah. So what year are we in now? So is it 60?
67.
Yeah. So we're in between England winning the World Cup and Neil Armstrong landing on the moon, I suppose.
Yeah, but it was, I forgot about him. I'm not bothered about England when they won the World Cup. But it was like, you know, like when you're a kid and you're growing up, like the first cup final I can remember watching was Manchester United versus Leicester. And I can still tell you the team near enough from what Manchester United was, not Leicester's. And then you go to Leeds, and like there were Norman Hunter and Big Jack there, and they'd played in the World Cup the year before, and you'd seen it all. And then you meet these people, you know, face to face and that and stuff like that. You're cleaning the boots and that. So, you're quite in awe of these people. Not just for that, but they were good people. There wasn't really anybody that you could say was a bad egg there. But, you know, the thing. But you go and you see them playing football, and one of the things, you know, when you're thinking back about sort of what you've done and stuff like that, you're a kid and you're coming over from Belfast. So, and I've spoken to some friends who we were apprentices together, and I've asked them the same thing, and it's like you're totally in awe. And even now, when I see them, I'm still in awe of them.
Yeah.
You know, because of what I mean. You think, I keep saying this to people. I don't think anybody believes me, but you know, you think you're a good footballer, and then you go play with people like this, and you realise maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. Yeah, because some of the things they used to do was, it was brilliant. And so yeah, there's obviously there's lots of things that sort of go wrong, and you're not happy with, but you forget those, and you keep it's usually the good things that you draw. And as you get older, you tend to forget a lot of it anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
So yeah, I mean, I'm here in Leeds. I've got two boys who I'm going to try desperately to make them Chesterfield fans and not Leeds fans over the next few years. But it's a mad footballing city, and you know, they're a one club city very much.
Yeah.
What was it like living in Leeds at the time and kind of being part of that setup?
Well, when you say it's a one club, well, it's not, because they're competing with the rugby, they're competing with the cricket, and Leeds United had to they had to win them over. But I mean, listen, you're a kid, and it's all you ever want to do is to go play football. The following year, in '68, in fact, the end of February, beginning of March, they played the League Cup final at Wembley against Arsenal. It was a shocking match, but they won 1-0. So we all went down and all stuff like that. And you've seen Wembley on the television, but you've never been in the atmosphere and stuff like that. So And then the lads used to go to the old, you won't remember it, you're well gone, is the old Mecca on a Saturday night. And the old Mecca was good. I mean, I couldn't dance or anything like that. But it was just a whole new experience. You're learning stuff, you're learning, you're just learning about life. And it was an exciting time because Leeds United then were, obviously they'd had a couple of good years when they got back in, and they got into the old First Division. And then that season that they won the League Cup, the beginning of the following season, they played they beat, I think it was Juventus, they beat them in the final of the old Intercities First Cup. And you were there, and there's like 40 odd thousand. I mean, the atmosphere in there when it's full is absolutely brilliant. You know, and it's, you're there, you get in, you don't have to worry about paying and stuff like that. I mean, we had to clean up after them and all that. That's fine. But yeah, it was really sad. It was a great time to be there. Great time. And I sort of compare it. I mean, you can't compare it with what the clubs do nowadays, but you know, anybody that's a young pro and stuff like that at Manchester United, when Sir Alex Ferguson was there and they were winning this, that, and the other. I mean, what an exciting! You're doing things that you would never do because you're inside. You know what I mean? We went to Anfield when they won the championship, when they drew with Liverpool on the Tuesday and Wednesday night, and we had a bus paid for a minibus over and stuff like that, and we were in the crowd and you know you can't get that. It was brilliant. It was great. And then afterwards, when we got back, we were pulling into Elland Road as they were pulling out, and he got off the bus, and we all he got us all on the bus and took us to the Queen's Hotel because that's where all the press were going to be and all that. And there was all food and whatnot, and we were there, you know. And they just won the league, and it was brilliant. Honestly, it was brilliant. I can't tell you more on that one, but I'll leave it at that.
And you played a couple of. I think you made your debut in what was the UEFA Cup?
Yeah. I played. Came on as a sub. That was brilliant. Yeah, I don't know how many was in the ground. There wouldn't have been a big crowd because it was Strong God set from Iceland or somewhere. There'll have been 20, 25,000 in. And but it was great because you go and play with it. You know, you go and play in that team. And to be fair, Strong God set went the strong side, and you got a touch of the ball. But you always had options. You know, when you went to play with them, you know, it wasn't like who do I pass the ball to. It was who do I not pass the ball to.
Yeah.
And great experience. And then because it was the highlights were on telly later on and that thing. So I spoke to my mother the next day, and I said, "Did you watch the match?" She says, "Yeah." She says, "You need a haircut, don't you?" I says, "Oh, thanks, man. That's it." But yeah, it's one of those little things you remember. But great. Yeah, great experience.
The 18,000 crowd at Elland Road was modest by Leeds standards, but still more than 3 times what the Norwegians in the dark strip are used to. Their number 5 is under pressure here. He makes a mistake. Alan Clark scores a simple first goal for Leeds. Lorimer really enjoying himself on the right. His cross comes to Frankie Gray, Eddie's brother, little chip, and that's the 4th goal for Leeds. By now the Norwegians were really demoralised, and it wasn't very long after that Mick Bates scored a 5th goal for Leeds. The crowd were certainly enjoying themselves, and so too was Peter Lorimer. Here he goes again, and from this cross Mick Jones scores the 6th and last goal, and his 2nd of the match. So in the end it was a good night's target practice for the Leeds attackers.
And finally, just last bit on Leeds. Obviously, Leeds have lost 3 huge legends in the last kind of year with Jelly and Peter Lorimer and Norman Hunter. I mean, 3 incredible players, weren't they?
No, listen, seriously, they were all great players. You know, I think Peter was a bit underrated, but Peter was a very, very, very good player. They all were, to be honest, and they all knew what they had to do, and you know, you had to watch them, and you could learn so much from them and stuff like that. And when I was joking earlier about it's who not to pass to, I mean, when you played, honestly, like there was you always had 2 or 3 passes on that you could, but if you didn't give the ball to Billy when he asked for it, to John Giles, you got to rock it. So you'd always give them the ball.
And then you signed for Chesterfield in 1974 in the summer then. And I've picked up quite a bit about managers since doing this. So I know a fair bit about Arthur Cox now, and I obviously knew a bit about John Duncan already and stuff like that. But Joe Shaw was someone I didn't really know anything about. So tell us about him.
Well, Joe got in touch. Well, I went into, obviously I got called into the manager's office at Leeds and he said, you get the free transfer. So then you start whittling, well, I got a club and all this, Anyway, Joe got in touch. I was thinking about this, knowing that I was going to do this. And Joe got in touch and he arranged to come up and see me. And when you went into the boss's office, because they'd moved the offices, and it was massive. His office was massive, and he used to have a desk, and he would sit behind this desk, but he was up there, and he'd say, "Go sit on the settee." Well, the settee was over there somewhere, and you sat down on it, and your bum was touching the floor, so you were like that, looking up to him. So he's like, And then Joe came in and just says, "Oh, this is all right, isn't it?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he sat behind the desk and that, Joe, and I said, "Oh, like this." Just a bit of fun, that. So yeah, Joe was a lovely man. I think he was probably far too nice to be a manager, and I think some players took advantage of that. But lovely man, knew his football. And I'm not saying this about me, but and he did sign some good footballers, but you know what football's like. Sometimes it's not always the nice guys, don't always win, unfortunately. But yeah, lovely man, and we used to train at Eckington. In fact, it's funny this because I was talking to one of the other lads about this last week, and we used to train at Eckington, and on a Friday morning. We used to five-a-side in that, and the pitch would be a mud bath. And Joe used to have like pumps on, like baseball shoes things. And Joe was the best player. It was quality. It was absolute quality, but a lovely, lovely man.
So was the guy type of manager that used to join in training then and kind of show you out?
Well, yeah, I mean, Joe wasn't a coach really. He obviously was the manager, but a lot of managers aren't coaches, as you probably know. Or they're not very good coaches, is maybe another way of putting it. And he didn't really coach. He knew the game, and he knew what he wanted. But yeah, he just used to join in the five-a-side. And honestly, it was a mud bath. And honestly, it was good. He was a good player. But yeah, just we saw Ernie Moss. Purely myself were playing in a charity match quite a few years later, and we saw Joe stood on the touchline with his wife. After we went over to him, and because he didn't know who we were, because he probably couldn't see us at the time. Anyway, we just said, we introduced him. He says, "I've just said," he said to my wife, he says, whether he was just saying this and that, he says, I said to my wife, he says, "Well, them three can play a bit." Well, sure, that's another matter. But yeah, smashing man, lovely.
What kind of position were you in when you first started? Because I read that you played like 5 or 6 different positions when you first came in.
Yeah, when I first came, I wasn't particularly fit. So I did the pre-season, and I sort of started it. No, I didn't start. I was sub. And then I don't know how long it was into this thing. It wasn't long. And Joe came, he pulled me one day and he said, and he didn't like, he stuttered when he didn't want to say something. He says, "I think you could do with losing some weight." So I thought, "Oh, right." He says, and I was sort of thinking 4 or 5 pounds, something like that. So I said, "What do you think?" He says, "Oh, I reckon a stone will do it." What? So anyway, I lost the stone in that, and my fitness did improve a hell of a lot. And I just wish I'd have been as fit as what I was when I've been when I was at Leeds, because I might have got maybe 1 or 2 more games in. I don't mean I would have played there regular, far from it, but I would have got one. As far as playing was concerned, I enjoyed. I started off as a midfield player, and then I went backwards. So I played centre half. I like playing centre half because I played centre half with Eric Winstanley and Big Les Hunter, and I enjoyed that because I let them go and head the ball. Fullback was quite easy, really, because you got loads of time and you had a bit of space on it. But later on, when John came, I played midfield in some games, and I really enjoyed it. It was different because obviously I'm older, and you think, well, I just went out and enjoyed it. So yeah, I don't know. I just like to think that I'd get the ball down and try and pass it as best I could. I read the game quite well. Kick 1 or 2. Yeah.
And I keep hearing about this famous ONeill Shuffle as well.
Well, yeah, it was brilliant. I fall over now when I do that when we dance. Yeah, when we were kids at Leeds, there was a lad at Leeds that came to a lad called Chris Galvin, and Chris brought that with him. We were apprentices at the time, and he brought that with him. And then I thought, and everybody, you knew he was going to do it, but it wasn't like, you watch Ronaldo do it, and he does about 6 of them in a second. Chris was quite measured when he did it. It wasn't quick. But probably because of that, they bought it, and they'd go every time. So I thought, I could use that. When you're overlapping and stuff like that, you think, I could use that. So I just practiced a bit on it, and then I started doing it, and it got me out of a lot of trouble. That. Yeah, it was good. Yeah. So I thank Galvin for that when I see him.
And you played. You kind of slotted in and played a lot of games, didn't you, straight away? Like, I think your first season was like 38 odd league games and then 41 in your second, and then you stayed around that for quite a few years. So
I was very lucky because I only ever had really one bad injury. And I think with that, I was out 3 or 4 months. But other than that, I might got a sore ankle or a kick on my ankle or something, stuff like that. But I was very lucky. After when I came down here, I missed very few games because of injury. So whether that's because I was fit or whether it didn't tackle enough, I don't know. But yeah, I was just lucky. But yeah, at the end of it, I think I got about 500 odd games in. That's for cup matches, so it's not bad over 12 years. So I was quite tough for that.
Yeah, I was looking at your stats like season by season. I think there was only 2 or 3 seasons where you didn't play kind of less than kind of 30 or more league games. So
I don't know what I can't. Once I got into the team, I was all right. I had a couple of run-ins with Arthur, nothing major, but yeah, I think Arthur went to play a 3 at the back at one time. And I don't like playing with a 3 at the back, but that's and he played me as a market. I would have been all right if I could have stood in the middle and like read things. But the first game I played against Charlton in it was a League Cup match, I think, and they had two guys up front. One was a big lad, I can't remember the names, like I say, and one was small. But the big lad, I was marking him. Well, I've got no chance, have I? I can't jump. Not with the size, things like that. So I just think overall, I was quite chuffed with getting the games and that. And yeah. Maybe it's because it was cheap as well.
There's some huge attendances around then. So I've only ever really known. I feel really fortunate that I've managed to watch games at Saltergate and at the new ground. But like some of the attendances back then, there was a game against Man City in, I think it was 77, I think, where there was like 14,000 there or something, which I just can't imagine Saltergate with so many people in it. I just wonder what that was like to play in.
Oh, the atmosphere was brilliant. Well, you couldn't get any more in. Well, you could. I think when we used to play, when we had the good side under Arthur, and we used to play like Sheffield Wednesday, Sheffield United, Grimsby, because Grimsby were up there. In fact, they got promotion, I think, above us. I think we had something like 15, 16,000 against them. And the atmosphere was brilliant, because obviously it's a tight ground, but honestly, the atmosphere was really good. And we had a few, and then even when there was sort of 8,000 or 9,000 people in, the atmosphere was really good. But 16,000, I think I might be talking out my backside now on that one, but there was a lot of people in, and it was really, really good. It's good.
Yeah. And then Arthur Cox comes in, and I've spoken to a couple of players now that kind of knew Arthur Cox and said he was a bit more authoritarian, maybe.
Well, I don't know obviously I don't know what the lads have said to you. Arthur came in. I mean, it took him a fair while to sort everything out. Now, whether that's because the club didn't have much money or what, or he had to make do with what he had. And there were some good players there, but we needed to get rid of some, because there was some bad apples there as well. But then some of his first signings, I don't think they were as good as what he thought they were. And then for a while we still struggled, and then all of a sudden he went out one summer, and he brought in Birchie, Alan Crawford, Jeff Salmons was already there. Did he bring in? I think he brought in John Ridley and Bill Green, I think, about the same time. So there was 4 players he brought in and it made a difference. It made a big difference. And then he started working on how he wanted you to play. And my memory's not very good, but I can't remember him sort of doing that previously, or he did it up to a point. But we used to go through like the 11. I mean, they talk about it as if it's something fantastic now. But he used to put the 11 players that were playing the day after, and he used to go through your style of play like that. No opposition, and he just used to say to you, he says, "Listen, don't take this as gospel, because other things will come from it. Because obviously the other team, somebody might not make the move and all that sort of stuff." So he really went into it, and everybody knew exactly what the job was. Corners for, corners against, stuff like that, free kicks and whatnot. And he got us really fit, and we got it off to a tee. And I think the only thing that let us down that season was probably that we didn't believe in ourselves enough. I mean, he was always saying to us, "You're the best team in the league," and stuff like that. And you sort of think, yeah, well, he would say that, wouldn't he? He's not going to say about you crap. But he was a really good coach. He's probably one of the best coaches I've worked with, and he'd sorted it all out. Maybe he was a bit too, what's the word? Rigorous. He could be really deep sometimes, and sometimes maybe you think you need a little bit more fun now and again. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, so I think the season we didn't go. I think we let ourselves down, to be honest.
Yeah, and we were talking to Phil Walker. He was saying that some of the characters or the big personalities that came in really changed Arthur Cox in that he had to kind of work with them a bit more and maybe let go a bit with some of them.
Yeah, I mean, like Sammy, Jeff Salmons. I mean, I don't know when I talked, nobody ever mentions Sammy these days. When you talk about old players and that, Sammy was a smashing player. He came from Stoke. I think he came because he knew. Did he come when Joe was there? Not sure he came with, but he came. Obviously, him and Frank were good friends. Frank Barlow, and nobody ever mentions him now. But Sammy was a hell of a player. He could get about the pitch. He got a great left foot on him. He got personality. you know, and he had his own business. He had his own pub in Mexborough at the time as well, and stuff like that. And he'd come in on a Saturday for the game. He said, "Didn't get to bed till 4 this morning," and stuff like that. Great personality, and he always give you 100%. He never gets mentioned, but he was a hell of a player, Sammy. But Sammy played in the old First Division, so he's not going to accept somebody like Arthur sort of saying, "You're going to do this, you're going to do that." And all. I said, "Well, yeah, fine, I'll do it, but don't be saying to me, you've got, you know, things like that." So he had to work different, and he probably did ease off a little bit. But Sammy, then Danny came in. Danny was a character. John Turner, all different characters, and it all adds to the dressing room and the atmosphere in the dressing room. And you've got the good boys, and you've got the bad boys, and stuff like that. And the good boys want to hear what the bad boys have been up to at the weekend and stuff like that. But yeah, it was different atmosphere. Great. It was a good spirit among the lads. Yeah.
Were you a good boy or a bad boy?
I was a good boy. I was just a creep, really, to be honest. I had my moments, but you've probably been told who the good boys and the bad boys are. I'm not been into that one.
Where were you on the? I've been told before about these big runs that you used to get taken on out in the Peak District. I wonder where you were in the finishing order of those.
I was in my car. I was still getting there. Oh no! Oh God! Well, to be honest, it goes back to Joe Shaw. So when I came down here, the first day I came down, somebody came in, Harold Roberts or Clarkey came in the dressing room and said, "Curb or edge." I hadn't got a clue what they're on about. So somebody said, "How do we get there?" Because if it had been at Leeds, you get in a coach. Here, it's get in your car, follow us. And so we got to Curb or edge, and I don't know if you've ever been up there, but there's the car park still in the same place that it was many, many years ago. And I got out of the car, and then there's about 100 yards from the car park up to the first gate. Well, by the time I didn't know, the other lads got out of the car and just started running. So I got it, and when I got to the first gate, all I could see was Moss's backside and Phil Tingey's backside at the top of the hill. And I'm thinking, then, yeah, just so, but obviously I got used to it, and to be honest with you, I started enjoying it in the finish. But Arthur's training was different to what I'd ever done before. And in hindsight, it was really good. But wasn't a big lover of those. Of those fronts, because I was never at the front.
And yeah, Anglo Scottish Cup should mention that really, because it's we've just passed the 40th anniversary. What, a couple of weeks ago?
Right.
Something like that. Yeah, it was 31st of March, wasn't it? The final. So yeah, I mean, was the obviously everyone now always it's the quarter final that gets remembered more than anything, because obviously you're playing Rangers.
Well, I didn't play in that one. That's when I had the bad injury. Well, I love that, because the guy next door to me now, Dave, he's a Notts County supporter. And if he says something to me, I keep mentioning Anglo Scottish Cup fan. But I missed the Rangers match. I missed most of them, in fact. I think I was out for 3 or 4 months that with my groin, and Gary Pollard came in, and Polly did a great job. So I didn't go up to Rangers, but I remember for some reason I was coming back from Leeds that night, and I heard bits on the radio, and Chesterfield had won, and said, and it was brilliant. And I had a thing about Rangers. Leeds United played Rangers one night, and in a European match or something, and the number of bottles that they left afterwards was incredible. They must have, because nobody bothered then. You could take bottles in and that. And there was one quarter just filled up, because we had to clean the terraces and that. They were just bottles. And then, so it was no surprise when they came here and what they were like and stuff like that with the drinking, and people were frightened that they were going to damage the town and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a great night, wasn't it? That was brilliant. That, yeah, especially being a Celtic supporter. It was good.
And so it was a jubilant Chesterfield team in the dressing room after the game, the club's first national trophy in their 115-year history, and especially satisfying for a manager in his first season, Frank Barlow.
Oh, delighted. I'm proud of the players as well, but certainly the result what we wanted, because if you enter a competition, you enter it to win it, and it was very, very difficult tonight, wasn't it?
Chesterfield may have to be content with the Anglo Scottish Cup for this season's work. The trophy displayed at Saltergate by the players prior to last Saturday's game against Fulham. But now, unless they hit a really rich vein of form in their last 6 games and others stumble, it looks as though it will be another disappointment in the promotion race for Chesterfield, who tomorrow are away at Brentford.
And am I right in after that relegation season? So I think it's what, 82, 83? I'm right in saying I was born in 83, so am I right in saying that you kind of went on non-contract terms then for a bit after that?
Yeah, the club was struggling for money, and I can't remember. It was Barry Hubbard. I think Barry was sort of in charge of the guys that took it over, and Barry. I mean, we were all on free transfers. So Barry said to me, he says, listen, he says, come and run the social club. He says, I'm playing on contract. So they were getting 2 jobs out of it for one wage, if it was a full wage even then. So yeah, I did that. And I think, because Barry set this up, I don't think John knew which way to take me, whether he trusted me or not. And because I said to Barry, well, how's this going to work? He says, well, you come and do your training. He says, put staff on. Well, I only had 3 staff. but it worked out. It worked out really well, because I said to the girls, like, because my wife, she worked for a little bit in there as well, and the other 2 girls. One was Jimmy Smallwood, the groundsman's wife, and the other woman. I said to him, look, will you help me out? Can you do this, that, the other? So he says, yeah, just let us know. So I thought, stop this. I'm not giving up football yet, And so I used to say to the girls, listen, you've got a key. I'd go in and sort everything out for them for when they came and stuff like that. And when I turned up on the first morning of pre-season, John was sort of looking, who are you? So I told him, and like I said, I don't think he trusted me initially, because obviously he'd not brought me in and he didn't know me from Adam. And then but I did all the pre-season, I played the games, and then he brought a left back in called, I think it was Barry Stimson. Barry was a good player. And I liked him as a player. He was a good lad. He was a Geordie lad. He was a good lad. And I thought, well, if he's coming in to do that, I'm not going to get many games in. But anyway, eventually, one way or another, got playing again and stuff like that. And then John, obviously, he started trusting me a bit more and stuff like that. So I started, and I think, to be fair, I think I played fairly regularly with John. And because he let me play midfield he didn't let me play, play midfield sometimes and stuff like that. And I loved it, really enjoyed it. But I must admit, I enjoyed my time under John. Because he never said up to me, he just let me get on with it. He did come to me one day. We were playing up at Whitby in a cup match. And I hated playing teams like that. Windy day, freezing cold in winter. And he come to me at half time and he said to me, because he's got a weird sense of humour, John. You can cut this bit out. He's got very droll. He's very droll. You never know when he's serious and when he's not. He said to me, come to me at half time. He said, are you playing rugby? No, I said, what are you on about? He said, well, you keep finding touch. and that was the biggest relic he ever gave me, to be honest. That's all he said to me. And I got on really well with him. And I still do when I see him. And he's a good bloke. But yeah, it was just different, but it was good.
You obviously got to Testimonial year, and you had a testimonial against Sheffield Wednesday, and you won like a Canon something trophy. It was like a Canon League something or other.
It was Barry. I knew nothing about it, and Barry Hubbard was. Barry came to me and he said, "Oh, he says I've applied to some banker. I think Barclays Bank it was, because you played 350 games and sort of all this, and I've got this for you." So right, thank you. And then I got presented with, it's a gold watch. It's a nice watch, and I've got that. That's upstairs. Yeah, it's a lovely watch. But that was Barry for you. You didn't know. A lot of people didn't like Barry for some reason, but it was always, we had some good laughs.
You don't necessarily seem like the type of guy that wants to shout about his career or anything. So what's it like when there's like a match dedicated to you?
I enjoyed it. I think Sheffield Wednesday just got promotion. We got promotion. I'd spoken to Howard, and obviously he'd agreed to bring Wednesday across. And it was on the Friday night, the Saturday after the Bradford Fire, because they weren't going to let me have it, because you know what Saltergate was like. And then I spoke to, and I can't remember his name, the chief of police, and he says, "Well, we'll do the policing for you, and we'll not charge you." I mean, you wouldn't get that now. He says, "We'll not charge you." He says, "We'll do it for you." So what, and there were about 7,000 or 8,000 people there, I think, something stupid. And yeah, it was good. And then we went down to the club and had a drink. I got mine for nothing because I was looking after the bar. So yeah, it was good. And they were good. The Wednesday lads were good lads as well, because I knew Mel Sterling and one or two of the other ones. And yeah, we had a good night. Yeah. And my mother came over. And then yeah, it was good. I enjoyed that, and I was grateful that people actually turned up, and yeah, it was very kind of them.
And then yeah, the so 4th division title season. There's actually a goal. One of your goals. Obviously, you didn't score too many. I think you scored like about 6.
Oh, that's good. I thought it was 3.
And there's a goal that you scored against Hereford where it was obviously a bit of a cross that went in.
Hey, listen, if I'd have been playing for Brazil, I'd have been the best left back on the planet scoring that. Yeah, it was a lucky one. They'd not been beaten, had they, when they came? They'd had a really good run. They had a good side. And it was a really good match that night. And I was right on the touchline, and I knew Mossy was in the box. I mean, if you were struggling, just hit it back, and then Mossy would thing. And it went in. It was just one of them things. I mean, you couldn't have, if you'd have tried to do it, you could never have done it. But I think it might have been a bit windy in that night. But yeah, it was great. Yeah. And we won. I think 3-1 or something like that. Yeah, it was nice to score a goal. What I was worried about, when I got up there, I could never get back. Didn't want to move back.
Get a bit lightheaded that far up the pitch.
Oh yeah, I used to faint. Arthur used to say, he says, when the ball goes in the box, it doesn't come out. So it either goes for a goal kick, corner kick, penalty kick, free kick to them, and he used to go through it all with you, but it doesn't come out of the box. And like nowadays, you're just watching the bloody tippy tappy in the way out of the box. But no, put your foot through it. There's nothing like being a connoisseur, is there?
Breaking dreams were wiped away after only 5 minutes when Chesterfield fullback Sean O'Neill shot them into the lead with the goal which Hereford keeper Kevin Rose will want to forget for more reasons than one. But it took United only 3 minutes to hit back, and what a good goal it was. Harvey set things up with Stuart Phillips finishing it off. It was all square at half-time, but 4 minutes after the break, Chesterfield went back in front thanks to this goal from Steve Kendall.
Yeah, you mentioned the Bradford Fire, because that happened on the day that you lifted the title, didn't it? So, and obviously some changes were made to Saltergate after that. They put in some extra exits down that main stand, didn't they? Like, as a play around then, I mean, how did it affect you as players around that time?
I don't think. Well, you've obviously still got to carry on because it's your job, isn't it? And it's like the Hillsborough thing later on when all those people got killed in that. I don't know how could you help them. I mean, I don't think a lot of the authorities knew what to do as well. I mean, Saltergate, yes, they did some bits and bobs, but I mean, I would have thought that Saltergate being as it was, God forbid anything that had happened there, because I think that would have probably just been the same. I mean, the Hillsborough thing, when I heard about that, I mean, that was awful. But I think it woke the football authorities up and clubs up. They needed to modernise. They needed to get out of these antiquated grounds because they weren't fit for purpose anymore. And obviously took some quite a while to get out, things like that. But at the time, because you're part of football and you're thinking, well, it's an awful thing to happen. Don't think that there's a great deal that you can do about it individually. But hopefully it's sorted itself. I mean, there was a thing many years ago, I think, where at Ibrox, when there was a staircase at the back, crumbled because of the weight of the people on it and stuff like that. There was a lot died in that. And nothing had probably moved on since that. And when we had a similar thing like that at the back of Elland Road, but they've altered all that now as well, because they've got obviously the big new stand. So it did take them a while to wake up to that. But hopefully nothing. I mean, the ground as it is at the minute took a long time coming, but I mean, it's a smashing ground. It's a lovely ground. So hopefully some good came from it.
And then you, like you say, you did a few things then after you retired, didn't you? Like both in football and not in football.
Yeah, I got. Oh God, I went. We had the pub, and then Mansfield Brewery wanted to. There were big changes within the law for whatever it was. So Mansfield Brewery wanted us to come out. They wanted to put a manager in. Fine. I bought a milk round. Worst job I've ever done in my life. Hated it. Bloody awful. And I sold it to a guy who comes to the matches, and I see him when we go in the lounge and have a chat with him. He loved it and sold that. What did I do after that? Oh, I sold insurance. I was useless. In fact, I think I used to pay people to like give me business. I was rubbish. I was shocking at it. And then in between times, I was coaching. I coached the kids at Sheffield United, Barnsley, Rotherham, Donny, Chesterfield. I sort of quite enjoyed that. The thing about doing that is, when you go to these places, because you've played and you've got, like, I'd got at the time, I'd got a full license. So they seem to think that, if you say something and they sort of go back, what's up like that? And they think that you're after the job. Well, I've never chased anybody's job in my life. If that man's got a job and he's good enough to do it, fine, I ain't got a problem with that. I'm not chasing it. So they were always a bit wary of you, but that's life. You see people afterwards, you think, well, why did you bother with the hassle? So I didn't. But the best one I had was at the Chamber of Commerce, because it started off, it was like young people who'd not done very well at school or come from maybe bad homes and stuff like that. And it was helping them to get into work, some form of work and stuff like that. And I loved that, really enjoyed that. And then that moved on to the adult one. And then obviously the adults are more cynical and stuff like that. And you have to do stuff that you don't really want to do and stuff like that. So yeah, but yeah, I did all sorts. Yeah. It's been traumatic.
Did you have a bit of a spell with your mate Ernie Moss as well in terms of when he did bits of management?
We had I think we started at Matlock, and Ernie knew everybody, the players, and we went to Matlock, and I brought some. I was at Staveley, I'd gone down a bit of coaching there, and there was 2 or 3 good players down at Staveley. And so anyway, Ernie got the job over there. And so I went with him. And then we brought 2 of these lads, I think it was 2 of them over. Ernie knew everybody in all league because he'd been in all league himself. And in fact, one of the lads, because I said to one of the lads one night, one of the older ones, I said, "Why'd you come here?" He says, "Just to get Ernie off the phone." So, and we had a good side. We had a really good side. Good lads, good footballers, good crack. Really enjoyed it.
Last couple of questions from me. So I just wondered if you had who was your favourite manager that you played under in your time at Chesterfield?
At Chesterfield?
Yeah.
Different managers, you learn different things. You learn what you like, what you don't like, what stimulates you and all that sort of thing. But I think for actual enjoyment, maybe it'd be because I was looking after the football club where I was getting paid from, and I wasn't getting paid anything from the football club. I think I enjoyed it on the job because I didn't feel under as much pressure. Whereas before, when you're playing, you got yourself, you've got to cover your kids, you've got a house to pay for, and all that sort of stuff. So all the time, and I'm not saying this for sympathy. I wasn't the best player, far from it. So that, but like I said, when I went to look after the social club and play sort of whatever, I enjoyed that probably more, and it was just a shame it ended up the way it did a bit, but that's life.
Yeah. And did you have a favourite kit? Wait, did you have a favourite shirt amongst your time there?
The other one was nice. I think we won because it fitted my son at the time. It's nowhere near him now. The V-neck one with the little thin stripe down.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I quite like that one. When we were at Leeds, we had the best of everything. Tracksuit. We had like the rugby shirts to wear for training, shorts, 2 pair of shorts, 2 pair of socks, your boots, everything. The apprentices came in afterwards, picked it up, got it clean for you. It was hanging out the next morning. All your kit, brilliant. And when I got a free, I thought every football club's like this. I thought no problems. I'll not take any kit. I'll take my boots. Well, I got down here on the Monday, and I got a pair of socks, a pair of baseball shoes. You know them baseball boots that they wear the kids? Baseball shoes, pair of shorts, and a t-shirt like this one, right? And that's all you got. And I said, and a towel. So I said, anyway, I took it home. We had to take it home after training because there was no laundry. So I put it down on the floor. Margaret said, "What's that?" I said, "It's my training kit." Said it needs washing. She says, "Well, I'm not doing it." She says, "You can do it yourself." And the number of times that the lads turned up, because you used to put it in a plastic bag after training, throw it back. The number of times the lads turned up the next morning and forgot to take the kit out of the car and get it washed and dry. And they took it out of the car, it was covered in mud, filthy, soaking wet, and the towels were the same. And it was just such an eye opener. But little things like that. I mean, that's what sort of sometimes makes the team spirit and stuff like that. Because just having a laugh about it. But yeah, big cultural difference.
I've always wondered as well. So in the time when it was, you didn't have a squad number and it was just 1 to 11.
Yeah.
I've always wondered whether, like, the number 3 shirt, if you're injured and someone else comes in as that number, are you like just using the same shirt throughout the season, or do they?
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, you didn't have like you're number 6, you're number 26, and all that. No, they just the same shirt because they only had 12. If they lost one, they were still good. They'd have to go to the shop and buy a souvenir one. They just the same kid. Just it's not like I was thinking about something, and like now I've seen somebody wear a 48 or something. So you say to him, "What position you play?" "Well, I'm at number 10. "Well, what have you got 48 on your back?" Yeah, just being stupid, but it's just ridiculous nowadays. Yeah, it's crap. But you pick a shirt up, you know, them day, and you pick one up and you think, oh, Bobby Charlton's had that one on. Do you know what I mean? You know, or like, and there was Leeds used to wear those things on the socks, like with a number on. It was like a tab. Have you seen them?
Yeah.
Like a tab. Used to.
Yeah.
It was a tie up, but there was a tab on, like 4 for billion on that. And there was this guy, the telephonist guy, and he used to sit there all day, as well as answering the phone. He could do everybody's autograph. So he's just sitting there signing all the autograph books and everything else. But nobody knew any different. Stuff, just stupid stuff like that. You wouldn't get that. You get sued nowadays, wouldn't you?
Yeah, identity theft. And looking back, you've obviously played for Chesterfield for what, 12 seasons or something. Is there any? I'm putting you well on the spot here, but is there any one match that stands out when you think of those 12 years?
Yeah, the one match for me that stands out is we played Sheffield Wednesday when they won the league that year, when Big Jack was in charge, and we played them on Boxing Day, and there was a lot of people, and I know there were 30,000 in at least, and we ended up drawing 3 each because I think Sammy scored a screamer from 20-30 yards right at the death to make it 3 each, and they'd got a bit of a dubious penalty, I think, stuff like that. And I remember afterwards, you come off and you're like on a high. And I remember because we were going up to Leeds to see the Outlaws and stuff like that. And I just remember I was like buzzing for 2 or 3 days after that. But that one always stands out. I remember the Man City match, but I came off injured in that, but not before I injured Dennis Jewett. I remember we played Grimsby at home in the league when they were top of the league and we were top of the league and they were second. And I had a nightmare because I fell out with Arthur. I had a nightmare, but I remember that for different reasons. At the start of the second half, I think they put their right winger over the wall on the far side. And there's not like games apart from the Wednesday one where I sort of think about that. You remember little bits of, like you mentioned, the goal against Hereford. I can still picture that, but there's other things I haven't got a clue. And I can remember things from playing in the reserves at Leeds. So it's little snippets of things that sort of stick in your head, as opposed to, yeah, we played that, it was a great game, and so scored, and so. Listen, I couldn't remember the day after it scored, so it wouldn't have mattered.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you'll be in that list of top appearance makers for Chesterfield for many years. Yeah.
I think the way it's going now, I mean, there's very few places where this going to get past, isn't there? It's just a different game now.